Hi, welcome to another video of Intellectual Minds Hub. I can't wait to share my findings with you. So let's start the topic that is about Chandrayaan 3 Indian moon mission. India launches historic Chandrayaan 3 moon rover to land at the lunar south pole. A launch vehicle Mark 3 rocket topped with Chandrayaan 3 spacecraft lifted off from the Satish Dhawan Space Center on the coastal island of Sriharikota 2:35 p.m. according to local time. The ambitious homegrown mission has a relatively modest price tag of 6 billion rupees. Its success would accelerate India's growing ambitions of low-cost space exploration during a time when many nations are trying to establish a long-term presence on the moon. This launch commenced India's second shot at gently landing on the moon's surface, a venture that comes nearly 4 years after Chandrayaan 2 crashed into the moon due to a software glitch. Officials at the Indian Space Research Organisation, the country's national space agency, say they are confident of success this time around. That confidence will be tested over the next month as multiple firings of the spacecraft's thrusters stretch its egg-shaped path around Earth, increasing its speed until it can be hurled into the moon's orbit. Once there, precise maneuvers must safely perch the lander rover near the moon's south pole, a mainly uncharted region that India dreams of being the first to unveil. Arun Sinha, a former senior scientist at ISRO, told Space.com, this mission is most significant in terms of ultimate precise landing capability of the Chandrayaan 3 lander on the specified lunar surface. ISRO scientists are banking on a new algorithm encapsulated into Chandrayaan 3's software. Rather than interrupt speed from static images as Chandrayaan 2 did, the new technology on board Chandrayaan 3 is designed to estimate spacecraft speed in real time as the probe descends towards the lunar surface. In addition, the legs on the lander, which is named Vikram, have been strengthened to help it survive a slightly high landing speed. And the area in which the spacecraft can touch down has also been significantly widened to allow some room for error and ultimately increase chances of success. Assuming a safe touchdown, a six-wheeled rover named Pragyan, powered by its own tiny solar array and guided by cameras to avoid obstacles, will roll off Vikram onto the lunar surface. It is armed with spectrometer to analyze lunar soil and rocks, and a laser-induced spectroscope to zap its target and derive their chemical composition. The rover and lander are both expected to operate for one lunar day, from sunrise to sunset on the moon. A 43.5-meter launch vehicle Mark 3 or LVM-3 launch rocket will blast the spacecraft into an elliptical Earth orbit before it loops towards the moon for a scheduled landing near the moon's south pole around August 23. Only three other space agencies, the United States, the former Soviet Union, and China, have touched down a lander on the moon's surface. None has launched near the lunar south pole. The mission has three main objectives. First, it must achieve a safe and soft landing on the moon. Second, its Pragyan rover should be able to move around on the lunar surface. Third, it should conduct scientific observations focusing on the moon's composition. In this picture, red dot is showing the landings of the Soviet Union, yellow is for China, and likewise for India and US. Since 1958, there have been 70 successful and partially successful missions by 6 nations to the moon, though many of them have orbited Earth's only satellite without landing. A further 41 flights were not successful, according to NASA. During the 1950s, 1960s, and 70s, the United States and Soviet Union were the only countries that had attempted missions to the moon. Between them, the two Cold War rivals attempted at least 90 moon missions, 40 of which were unsuccessful. During the 1980s, no lunar missions were launched. In 1990, Japan joined the space race with its Titan orbiter. In the 2000s, China, India, and the European Space Agency launched their first successful orbital missions to the moon. In 2019, India's Chandrayaan-2 mission successfully deployed an orbiter but lost contact with its lander and crash-landed near where Chandrayaan-3 will attempt a touchdown. Only three other space agencies, the United States, the former Soviet Union, and China, have touched down a lander on the moon's surface. None has landed near the lunar south pole. So, now question is raising, where is Pakistan's Chandrayaan? When will Pakistan get its slice of the moon? Now I am going to tell you about the views of the Wire Indian news site about that will Pakistan also get a slice of the moon. They thought that it depends upon the quality of our scientists and if a culture of science develops. Of course, Pakistan never had a Nehru. A further setback happened in the Ziaul-Haq days when Sir Syed Ahmad Khan's modernism had its remaining flesh eaten off by Allama Iqbal's Shaheen. As if to compensate the loss of appetite for science, buildings for half a dozen science institutions were erected along Islamabad's Constitution Avenue. They could be closed down today and no one would notice. Today's situation for science is dire. The official website of Sparko is silent on space exploration plans. Born a year before its Indian counterpart, ISRO, Sparko lists its earliest achievements as the periodic launches of US supplied weather monitoring Rahbar rockets between 1962 and 1972. The most recent activity listed is of July 9, 2018, when China launched two remote sensing satellites for Pakistan to monitor progress on CPEC. One of the two was designed and solely developed by Sparko and is primarily aimed at remote sensing. It is good that talent is achieving some recognition. They further said that Fawad Chaudhry planned to start 1500 STEM school for exceptional students. One hopes that the right students will be selected and that by some miracle good teachers can be found. Against this background, the question is this: India's Chandrayaan is en route to the moon. Where is Pakistan's Chandrayaan? The answer is given by a journalist in Daily Times that under the guidance of physicist and Nobel laureate Dr. Assalam, Pakistan established its Space and Upper Atmosphere Research Commission in 1961, and Pakistan has also sought the help of China. Pakistan's IT sector is still rudimentary. After 1991, when India was struggling to make its position secure amongst exporters of IT services, Pakistan was grappling with the political make and break. Pakistan squandered the decade of the 1990s in internal bickering and strife. Dictator General Ziaul-Haq had gone, people kept on intervening behind closed doors to construct a feasible system. Pakistan is not sure what kind of education system must be permitted to continue. Just a year ago, Pakistan was experimenting with the introduction of one syllabus to serve all. Courts are in action to discourage the use of English while communicating with each other. Not pure sciences, but social sciences are still preferred subjects. And then come strikes to demand employment in the government sector. Pakistan has failed to make its population understand that the government sector is no longer a platform for offering employment. Today's Pakistan has to survive a debt of more than around $2 billion a month for the next 3 years to fund its external payment obligations. Pakistan is still falling back upon the agricultural sector for economic revival. Moreover, not any industrial sector but real estate is the main cradle of the circulation of money, besides becoming a door for permitting black money to enter the mainstream economy. Instead of becoming an exporter of goods, Pakistan has become an importer, the trend which depletes foreign currency reserves, offering a crisis in the balance of payment. So, Pakistan's Chandrayaan has been lost in short-sightedness, internal strife, and lack of understanding of the world's need. In 1960, President John F. Kennedy challenged US scientists to land Americans on the moon and bring them back safely to the Earth before the decade was out. NASA rose to the occasion and achieved this staggering task with the landing of Apollo 11 on the moon in 1969. In 1961, NASA realized that the Indian Ocean region was a black hole of data relating to the wind structure of the upper atmosphere, which was badly needed for NASA satellite. NASA offered all countries on the littoral of the Indian Ocean help to establish rocket ranges in order to obtain such data on condition of fully sharing it with NASA. President Ayub Khan, accompanied by his chief scientific advisor Professor Abdussalam, were on a state visit in the US at that time. Pakistan seized the offer, and Professor Abdussalam invited Pakistan Atomic Energy Commission's senior engineer Tariq Mustafa to join him in meeting with the NASA officials in September 1961 to finalize the arrangement, and Pakistan was the first country to take up the offer. The Rebel sounding rocket program was built around the US. The five-member team responsible for this program was led by Tariq Mustafa and also included Salim Mahmood and Sikandar Zaman, both of whom later became chairmen of Spark. Rebel 1 was launched on 7 June 1962. In a period of 9 months, the Pakistani team was established, their training completed in US facilities, the rocket range equipment and instrumentation completed, the scientific payload selected. This was a unique achievement that even surprised NASA specialists. Pakistan was the first among all developing countries and Islamic countries to carry out a scientific rocketry program. The Rebel 1 successful launch carried a payload of 80 pounds of sodium, and it streaked up about 130 km into the atmosphere. The first launch of Rebel 1 took place in Sonmiani on 7 June 1962. So, Pakistan is a major contributor in the accomplishment of these missions. As we have reached the end of my video, I want to say that it's not better to comparison one country with other, as Pakistan is going through crisis. But hope so, the country will progress soon, because where there is a will, there is a way. Please like and subscribe my channel and acknowledge my efforts. Thank you.